Today on the Melanated Rebel News Network, we're going to be interviewing with Mr. Gregg Marcel Dixon. Today on the Melanated Rebel, running for the 6th District of the state of South Carolina, going against Jim Bojangles Clyburn. But before we get started, I want to give you guys something to watch. Then we're going to go into the intro, and then I'm going to introduce my guest. You don't know who Jim Clyburn is? Well, we all know who he is. He's the one who sold us out. So check this out real quick. Tell me what you think.
And nobody with whom I've ever worked in public life. That's how well I know this man. I know his heart. I know who he is. I know. And I can think of no one better suited, better prepared. I can think of no one.
Boy, he got educated feet.
Better prepared. I can think of no one with the integrity.
Yes, sir.
No one more committed to the fundamental principles than my good friend. Joe Biden.
Good Saturday afternoon, my patriots. Thank you for tuning in to our Saturday special edition of the Melanated Rebel News Network, broadcasted to you live from the beautiful and historic city of Charleston, South Carolina. I'm your host, the voice of the silent majority, the battle cry of the patriot, the wrath of the deplorable, the rage of the conservative, and I'm energized by the spirit of revolution. I am the Melanated Rebel Ricky Manor, and I want to start by thanking all of you patriots for tuning in today. I also want to thank each and every one of you for the cash apps that helps me eat the cost of this equipment and in return deliver you a quality platform. I also want to thank my beautiful, hardworking, patriotic sister, Melissa Foster of M. Foster Creations, who put together this website here for us at mrnewsnetwork.com. That's mrnewsnetwork.com, a place where us patriots can go exercise freedom of speech and also where you can catch my exclusive content. mrnewsnetwork.com. I can interact with you there too. I also want to give a big shout out, a huge shout out to a person who's been following this channel from day one by the name of Rocket Man Rocky Matrix. Rocket Man Rocky Matrix has been following me since I've been doing this on a smartphone from my kitchen before I even had even 60 followers. Rocket Man Rocky Matrix, you're the man. Let's see who else is in the room. What's up, Ryder Prophet? We got the producer, Melissa Foster, up in the house. What's up, Lloyd Kelly? Let me give you a wrench so you can put that cash app in the room. Today, this is what I want you guys to do, man. Before you donate me a penny, I never ask for much. I never ask for much. Today, before you donate me a penny, don't donate me a thing. Let all the proceeds that you have go to this man's campaign. Let all the proceeds that you wanted to donate to me today go to this man's campaign, and you will see why. The man he's running against is responsible for Jim Crow Joe being in the office right now. Since I started this campaign, or this thing that I'm doing, was to let you know that what you're hearing from the media, not all melanated people are on board with Jim Crow Joe. Black Lives Matter was a separate entity that they used us as the face of their movement. Today, I want to bring a special guest. A special guest on, I can say that he should have a hurricane named after him because he's raising some hell on this Carolina coast. All right. He's raising some hell on this Carolina coast. He's getting ready to, he's running for Congress against Jim Bojangles Clyburn. And basically, he's a godsend. And Jim Bojangles Clyburn, of course, y'all know he's Nancy Pelosi's lapdog and Jim Crow Joe's tea server. But with no further ado, I want to introduce you guys to Gregg Marcel Dixon. Welcome to the show, Gregg. Mr.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. I know you guys have a busy schedule with the campaign going and everything. Ryder Prophet, he's another B1 that's in here as well. Rocket Man, Rocket Matrix, he's B1. So, Greg, would you rather be called Greg or Marcel?
Marcel, please. And before we begin, I want to thank you for having to perceive being diverted to my campaign. You're really putting your money where your mouth is. And so thank you for that. I really, really appreciate that. And I appreciate every single one that donates to my campaign.
Okay. You're welcome. I mean, putting my money where my mouth is, I would love to help you out more in the future, anywhere I can. You know what I'm saying? Rocket Man, Rocket Matrix says that you're running on a Democratic ticket.
Yes, I am.
All right. So tell the people here about your platform. What you represent and what we can expect from you being in Congress.
Well, before I begin, Ricky, I want to say that, first of all, we're in South Carolina. You're really just like 45 minutes from me in Charleston. I'm here in Ridgeland, so we're in the beautiful low country. I'm Gullah Geechee. I'm not sure if that's your heritage. Not sure if you are native to the area, but we know South Carolina is the quintessential Southern state, right? We are known for being good hosts, but we're also talked about and told to be good guests. So thank you for having me. I want to start off with that again. I want to say that, I did my due diligence in researching your platform. And of course, I saw the Confederate flag imagery. And because you know against whom I'm running, I know what he's going to try to use. So I just want to be very clear. Thank you for having me. But I want to say, as far as my feelings for the Confederate flag, I completely disavow it. I hate what it represents. And I'm completely against it. I just want to start off with that to make it very clear so that he doesn't get to try to do his usual political spin, because he can't run on his record. So he's going to have to run on slander and allegations and lies and misrepresenting me. So I just want to start with that.
Well, you're welcome. Hey, I tell you what, I want him to try to slander me because,
I want him to come after me too. In fact, I hope if he really wants to come after me, he can invite me to a debate in front of fellow South Carolinians. If he really wants to come after me, I would love it. So now to my platform. Before I begin, I think a lot of people may have heard of me. I want to say before I'm running for, which is reparations, before I talk about my push reparations, I want to talk about what it is, but what it is not, most importantly, because the reason I came, in spite of the Confederate flag imagery, is because I feel like we often want people to listen to us. especially running for public office. We want people to believe that we want what's best for them. But I get why people don't believe that, because how can a person believe you want what is best for them when you don't even want to speak with them? I'm a person who feels that if I'm going to be representing a wide variety of people, I need to speak with a wide variety of people. There should be no quote unquote safe place for me, ideologically speaking, when it comes to people for whom I'm going to be representing. So that's why I'm here. I also know that this platform may attract a different type of audience from which I am usually in front of. So this is a good opportunity for me to explain the lies and the misrepresentations that have been launched against reparations. And number one, I'm going to start. Reparations is not a way to punish white Americans of today for what the federal government did as far as 260 years of chattel slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, lynch mob, racial massacres. Even though those were done by individual American citizens, the federal government has the responsibility to protect us and keep us safe. They had that responsibility then, they have it now. And I think whether you're a conservative or a liberal, I think a lot of people will agree the federal government is failing in those regards today as they did in the past. So reparations is a debt that is owed not to all Black people, not to immigrants, but to the Black Americans who are descendants of those who fought for their emancipation at the end of the Civil War. It was Abraham Lincoln's, the Republican Party likes to say they're the party of Lincoln, where it was Abraham Lincoln's plan to implement reparations. We are in the Low Country. This is where 40 acres and a mule started. It came from Special Field Order 15. It was never allowed to be implemented because of assassination. So the federal government owes this debt. They have the money to do it. This is lie number two. It is not going to result in wrecking the economy. It's not going to result in anyone's taxes being raised. If anyone knows how the government monetary policy works, all the government has to do, America is a monetary sovereign, meaning it makes its own currency. Whereas you and I, we can't spend money we don't have. If we had the ability the American government have, we can literally create money. They do it when it's time for wars. They do it with distributing these vaccines. They do it to fund the military. They do it to bail out the automobile industry. They did it to bail out the airline industry just last year. It did not result in anyone's taxes being increased. The same with the stimulus checks. Likewise, the Federal Reserve just has to approve the federal government for an expansion of credit to finance reparations. It will not cost anyone a dime, but it will bring a lot more wealth to this country because it's been shown that anti-Black racism has cost the U.S. government $16 trillion. That is almost double what our current economy is, which is 19 trillion. So that means we will be twice as wealthy had this country pay reparations. So I come to speak to everyone because reparations is for everyone. And I want everyone to understand that. Black Americans receive it, but it will help everybody.
I like that stance. And, when you were talking about reparations, as a matter of fact, the thing that really chapped my hide last week, you can't give reparations, but you can put crack pipes accessible
Exactly.
to the community. And you know the area, especially when you go up there, north of the Ashley River.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, okay, how is that helping? What kind of racial equity is that giving to the community? They talked about everything. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. When Jim Crow Joe and Kamala Harris got elected, I was wanting them to succeed in their mission, because I am a patriot. So even though I don't like those two, I wanted them to do something different. I wanted to be proven wrong. You see what I'm saying? Now you running on the Democratic ticket, right? But
Yes,
when we were talking backstage, you were talking about the Democratic Party and exposing the Democratic Party for what it really is. Why didn't you run on a conservative ticket or a Republican ticket?
So very good question. First of all, let me start. You mentioned the crack pipes. I'm going to go further than that. How about the fact that Joe Biden's administration, this makes me so angry. I literally feel myself shaking. I'm trying to keep my composure. They were considering, and to me, to even consider this is a slap in the face to my ancestors. Okay, my great great grandparents were alive. They were lived until I was 12 years old. Their parents were enslaved. So, and my great grandmother, who helped raise me, she was raised by her grandparents, and my great 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 grandfather was enslaved, and he died just in the 1940s. The Joe Biden administration was thinking about paying $450,000 to illegal immigrants who came in this country illegal, and not per family, okay? Not per family, per person. So let me get this straight. You come to this country illegally. You get apprehended for breaking the law, and somehow you deserve to get paid for that. This is the same man who wrote the 1994 crime bill that has put more black people in incarceration since the days of chattel slavery. And yet we've gotten nothing for that but more poverty and more anti-blackness and more lack of opportunities. But he wants to pay illegal immigrants who leave their families behind to come to our country illegally for the U.S. government breaking up their families when they were simply doing their job. Make that make sense. So to answer your question as to why I have not ran on, I guess we say conservative, it means a Republican ticket. Here's why. First of all, both parties owe Black Americans. And I'm going to refer to Black Americans at times as freedmen. I'm going to explain why. Because in the 1800s, after the Civil War, Congress passed two bills specifically for Black Americans of my lineage whose ancestors were enslaved by this government. It was called the Freedmen Bureau Acts, Act 1 and Act 2, to provide us with land, housing, food, shelter, and safety. They refer to us as freedmen. We are in South Carolina. South Carolina is the home of the first Freedmen's Bank that was for Black Americans only who were of the lineage of people that were emancipated. Freedmen. We have Freedmen's cemeteries. We had Freedmen's School. We had the Freedmen's Bureau. So that is our congressional name. We've been called Negro. We've been called colored. We've been called African American, Black American. There's even a new term on social media called Sola, referring to Black Americans as people with soul. But congressionally speaking, we are called freemen. I just don't want your audience to be confused when they hear me say freemen. Freemen, Black America, interchangeable. But I'm not talking about Black immigrants when I say freemen. I'm talking about Black people who are descendants of the 4 million who were emancipated at the end of the Civil War. Since both parties have felt this, the Republican Party, once upon a time, was the pro-Black party. They're the party that was pushing for reparations. So it's ironic when I hear the Republicans of today come out against reparations when they call this the party of Lincoln. And during the time of Lincoln, the Republican Party was like, eliminate, kill all Confederate soldiers and give all Black Americans their land. The Democratic Party, though, in our modern day, has failed us. Since 1964, Black Americans have voted for the Democrats at a rate of over 95%. Here's what has happened to us since the 1960s. One, since 1969, Black Americans have lost 14 million of the 15 million acres we own. So we have more land during the days of lynch mobs and Jim Crow than we do now. This is under us being the most loyal Democratic voters. We own less homes now than we did during Jim Crow. That's number two. Three, Black men's lives have actually gotten shorter. Black men have the shortest lives, and we continue to lose years of our life. That's number three. Four, Black women continue to die at the highest rate from giving birth to a child. The Democrats want to push abortion on us. We've already aborted 20 million Black children. But for Black women who want to have a child, where is the action that they have taken since the 1960s to save Black women who want to give children? My grandmother suffered decades of pain from her kidneys being ruined from a bad blood transfusion that was given to her in the 1960s when she was pregnant with my third uncle. She lived, but she died 4 days after my 9th birthday because of medical anti-Blackness. And yet the Democrats, are right now trying to pass a bill called the New Deal for New Americans, which means illegal immigrant, by the way, y'all, where they will put agencies throughout this country to make sure that illegal immigrants are given resources and are protected. But for Black Americans who continue to have the highest rates of gun violence, who continue to have the shortest lives, highest rates of lead poisoning and homelessness, they are doing nothing en masse to support. Now, you may be wondering then, okay, so why are you running as one? Because when somebody owes me something, I gonna get what I am owed. Okay, the Democratic Party will not even exist as a viable party without the votes of Black Americans. And I'm not talking about the immigrants to whom they like to cater, because 90% of the Black American population are Black Americans, freed men, not of immigrant background. They owe us, and I'll be damned if I'm just going to go to another party and let them get away with not paying my people what they owe. So I'm going in the house to get what they owe us. And one way to clean up the house, my mother says, only one way to clean up the house. You got to be in it. So I'm going to go there and clean it up.
Heck yeah. I like it. Now, we were talking about the illegal immigration situation, right? First, let me talk about the gun. Because I'm pro 2A. I'm pro second.
Yeah.
And you being a Democrat, what's your stance? Well, not being a Democrat, but running on a Democratic ticket. What's your stance on the Second Amendment?
I am completely against gun confiscation, and I feel that any Black American should be. If anyone does history, this country has never wanted Black Americans to have access to guns. They've only done it when they were down to the wire, whether it was the Revolutionary War or when the Confederates were actually winning the Civil War, and they finally said, hey, people, we need you. And they finally gave in and gave over 200,000 Black men guns. But they gave us guns that were in the worst condition. Even then, the generals of the Union Army, because there's this myth that the Union Army was the people who love Black Americans, they had the worst concentration camp in American history. So they were just as anti-Black as the Confederates in many cases. They said that the Black American soldiers, without any training, being in the worst positions, were the best fighters and best equipped with guns. I am for the Second Amendment. I am a gun owner, okay? And I'm in the South, so you might think that comes naturally. No, growing up, I had a negative view of guns. My brothers were gun connoisseurs. They had all the hollow tip bullets, and I just felt it was evil. I'm like, hey, this is not for hunting. This is to hurt people. Mm-hmm. Now I realize, no, it's not to hurt people. It's to protect people. So I am for gun. But where I differ with some people or the Republicans who act like they're for gun rights, I am for common sense gun safety, which is 2A. That means mandatory safe storage, okay? I'm for people the same way we have to register our vehicle. I am for people having to register their guns, background checks. I want us to know who has access to a gun. I'm for people who have a history of violence or have made legitimate terroristic threats. That is a crime to not have access to guns that will make it easier for them to act on those threats. But I'm also for making sure we have a mental health component, because all the talk about gun violence, and it's true, gun violence is an issue. What doesn't get talked about a lot is that the vast majority of gun deaths are from suicides, not from people shooting other people. And another high percentage of gun deaths are from accidental discharges. So I'm also for people being educated about how to use a gun safely, about respecting a gun. When I went, and we're in South Carolina, so we know South Carolina is a very strong pro-Second Amendment state. But even when I was going to get a gun in South Carolina, I had to take a class. And you know what? It was two white guys with whom I'm sure, politically speaking, we may not agree on much, but then, people surprise you. People are complex. But you know what they emphasize? They didn't say go out there and shoot the first person you see and kill, kill, kill. No. When they said, what do you do if you're walking down the street and you see someone walking towards you with a pipe and you go in your home and they're outside wanting to fight you? And some people say, well, you go outside with your gun, you say, get my yard. There's like, and what if they don't? What if they come at you? They say, well, you shoot them. There's like, you're going to jail. And people are like, why? I was just intrigued by it all. They said, because you left from an area of safety and went to a situation instead of calling the police. The point is they were making it about avoiding dangerous situations, being as peaceable as you can. That is a thing that gets left out of this gun debate. So I'm for education, I'm for safety, and I am for registration, and I'm for the people who are violent. There's a small minority that causes the majority of the problems not having access to guns, because it is something that we have a right to do. But the same way, if I commit a crime, I get thrown in jail, I lose my freedom. You should have the ability to lose your right to a gun.
Agreed there. But the thing is, when we start talking about, mental health, they might have, because those Democrats can be slick. If someone takes medication for depression, or if they are a combat veteran that suffers what they call PTSD. Should, in your opinion, should they have access to guns?
No, absolutely. Oh no, I'm sorry. Their guns should not be taken from them.
Okay.
They should not lose their right because they have a mental health condition. I suffer from severe depression. It's something I have since I was 14 years old. Okay. It's from some different, unfortunately, traumatic experience I had during my childhood. And I do not deserve to be deprived of my rights simply because I have an illness. That's like saying because I have asthma, I shouldn't be allowed to get running shoes, like sneakers. Like that's stupid. Mm-hmm. What I do feel should happen, I feel education is important. So if a person, any person, because a lot of people may have mental and emotional challenges, they're simply not diagnosed. Because let's be honest, a lot of women may seek mental health. A lot of men, they just suffer in silence because of some issues with how society deals with men expressing their pain. I feel that everyone should be educated. If you're feeling depressed, this is what you should do. Have a person whom you can trust to say, you know what, here, please take my gun from me. We have to educate people, not dictate to people what they can and cannot do and penalizing them when they haven't done anything wrong. I'll never be a fan of that because as a Black American, we have had too many things done to us unjustifiably, and it's still being done to us, and I refuse to be party to that happening on a larger scale. And that's a part of the reason why I will never say I'm for gun confiscation en masse, because as a Black American, if any group needs guns, we do.
Now, in the state of South Carolina, you don't have to register a gun. Like I could sell you a gun right now, and it'll be, I don't have to. But the way I do it, like when I exchange guns or buy guns, if I was to buy a gun from you, we're going straight to a gun store.
Exactly.
And I'm going to do a change of what they call it, a change of ownership.
Ownership. Yes.
So that way,
right. I disagree with that. They call them ghost sales. Well, I can just say, hey, you want to buy my gun? Well, here you go. Here's the ID. Here you go. No, I feel it should be registered. If we have to register our vehicles, we should have to register guns. Now, there are far more car accidents is one of the primary causes of death outside of natural causes for Americans, right? We have to register them. I feel that all guns should be registered. That is something that I do believe should happen.
Huh. Now, Heart of Inspiration said something that stuck out in the chat room. She says that, but if we are all made to register, they know where to come and get them.
Well, let's be very honest. If they wanted to take things from us, they would have been taking our vehicles from us. Now, it is true that Black Americans do get our vehicles repossessed higher than any other group. That's because of a lack of wealth, which is one of the reasons why I'm running for reparations. But it will be foolish. I mean, people say that, well, we need guns because of we're attacked by a foreign nation. America, over 330 million people, not only will have to fight the military, they'll have to just fight American civilians. Okay? It will put this country in grave danger. It will cause us, most empires collapse from within. Go and try to confiscate guns from law-abiding people will make us a weaker nation and make us more susceptible to invasion from outsiders. And also, it will be a waste of resources. If they were to put forth the manpower and the strategy to go and confiscate guns en masse, I want them to do it almost. And here's why, because they will now have no excuse to not deport the so-called 11 to 20 million people in this country illegally, whom they like to tell us they can't find and they can't deport because it will be too much. So if they want to play that game, if they can take almost 400 million guns, then they can find 11 to 20 million people. if anybody wants to play that game. So I doubt they want to go there with me.
Facts.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, because with what I do, I have to walk a thin line. I don't know if you've seen some of my videos, but I have to walk a fine line being black and conservative, melanated and conservative, because because we have, in times when we're talking about the problems in our communities, we're talking about having to give constructive criticism. Some people mistake that as cooning. Now, I try my best to not come off like Candace Owens or the Officer Tatum. I try to balance myself and be in the middle. I give them two credit for one thing. I was retired from YouTube. I used to show documentaries, and my channel that had like over 1 million followers, I never showed my face on cam. I took that channel down. I was retired. My YouTube channel that we're on right now was simply for like family and friends, nothing more, nothing less. Then the summer of 2020, and I saw where the Republicans were endorsing, these conservatives is what I call them.
That's why I use the same terminology.
These conservatives.
But there are Democrats too. We'll talk about
Yeah.
that later. But yes.
But the thing is, with the conservatives, they're honest about their disdain for black people versus the Democrat conservative, the Congressional Black Caucus. They're more, what's the word I'm looking for? Laid back, and they pretend to be your friend. The whole BLM movement, all that stuff.
And sheep's clothing. Exactly.
Yeah. And you had like Jim Clyburn and everybody like endorsing this stuff. And I'm like, I was in Charleston last summer, downtown area. When was that? No, that was the summer before last when they had the big riot here. And I'm like, wait a minute. And then, when they're not rioting, they were handing out leaflets to get people to vote for Joe Biden. I'm like, look at this bait and switch here. Look at this bait and switch. Like, how is Jim Crow Joe going to do anything when he has a track record the way he does? And they were slick with the media, the just like paint Trump as a racist and say that by voting Jim Crow Joe in, we're going to get rid of this racist, when the disparities in America is over 4 years old. Trump was only in office for 4 years.
Exactly. I want to talk about that some. First, I do want to push back a little. I do not consider the manifestation of anger I saw throughout the nation and then eventually throughout the world a riot. What I saw was, let's think about the American Revolution, when we as Americans felt that the British were being tyrannical and we revolted against them. Technically, people could say that was a riot. No, it was our people saying we were being mistreated and we weren't going to take it. What we saw in 2020, to me, is just a little taste of what can happen on a much larger scale with Black Americans saying, so now you're literally going to just suffocate the life out of us for 9 minutes and think that we're just going to sit back and take it. And by the way, it was mainly, and I think this is a good thing, which is why I came here, it was mainly white people out there, which I think is a good thing, because I really do feel when it comes to things with Black Americans, racial justice for Black Americans, it should be white people leading the charge. Because even though reparations is not to punish white people, the truth of the matter is, even though it may not have been most white people in the lynch mobs, I always do talk to a lot of white Republicans in my area, because I'm right down the street from you, technically in Ridgeland and Yancey and Beaufort area. And I say, what about the white people, though, who saw it happening and said that was wrong, but they didn't do anything to stop it? That's one. But I want to talk about the most important issue you said. Let's talk about Donald Trump. Now, when I saw when the thing happened in Charlottesville and Donald Trump said very fine people, I ain't gonna lie, I was disgusted and outraged. No one who's marching with a Ku Klux Klan member to me is very fine people. Now, however, let's go back to the 1970s. While Donald Trump may have been sued, he and his father, for discriminating against freedmen, Black Americans, and I think Puerto Ricans who can identify any different way. Joe Biden, what was he doing? He was literally partnering with an anti-Black supremacist, white supremacist named Strom Thurmond. Anyone who knows South Carolina, like I know you do, we all know Strom Thurmond set the standard of what it means to be a hateful anti-Black segregationist. Joe Biden, there are letters, anybody can Google them, of him writing Strom Thurmond, thanking Strom Thurmond for his friendship and for his guidance. And if anyone wants to know what was it that they were partnering on, were they partnering to get Black Americans get our land? back that was stolen? Were they partnering to get us protection? Were they partnering to get us the reparations that were owed from unpaid labor from the federal government and all the things from which we were excluded, like the Homestead Act and the GI Bill and the Social Security Act? No, Joe Biden was partnering with segregationists like Strom Thurmond to keep black kids out of his children's schools. Now, I'm not saying busing was the best thing, but the data is the data. Anybody wants to challenge me? Come on. I'm ready. I'm not a person who believes that Black Americans have to sit by a white person and learn. I'm a person who feel that our schools with our teachers were just fine. We just needed what we were owed. But the data does show that because Black kids were bused to whiter areas that had all the resources, because we weren't getting it, and that's what the civil rights movement was about. We wanted equitable resources that we were entitled to. The Black kids who were bused did better in the long run than Black kids who obviously went to schools that were far more impoverished. Yet Joe Biden, he wrote that and made a comment. He didn't want his kids growing up in a racial jungle. Now, we all know the disgusting anti-Black imagery that people associate with jungle. We all know the disgusting term jungle bunnies. That's what Joe Biden said. When asked about reparations in the 1970s, since I'm talking about reparations, and Donald Trump, I'm never going to defend anything he says or does. I'm just going to state facts. And here are the facts. He did have a platinum plan where he was going to give supposedly up to, I don't know the amount, $1 trillion. Now, to me, that's still woefully insufficient. But when Joe Biden was asked about reparations, he said he doesn't feel responsible for the sins of his forefathers. And he'll be damned if he's going to pay for them today. This is the same guy that James Clyburn said he knew his heart and Joe knew us. Yeah, I don't need to know your heart. I just need to see your actions. You work with segregationists and you locked up more Black people than any other piece of legislation prior. So Joe, I don't know Joe, but I know what the hell he's done to Black America. So if they want to call Trump an anti-Black bigot, then put Joe Biden 5 steps ahead of him.
I want to show you something real quick because I myself was upset about the when Donald Trump said you had fine people on both sides. I saw the full interview. The full interview was he was talking about the people that were there protesting, peacefully. The people that were there protesting peacefully to keep the General Lee statue up. Those were, I want to say they were Sons of the Confederacy, which I can't say what's in their hearts and minds because that would just, be ignorant on my part. But they wanted to keep that statue up. And, we can have a discussion of the Civil War another time. I'm not defending the institution of slavery. But
I understand.
If they were there peacefully, then those are fine people. And he was talking about the people that was anti the statue, fine people. He wasn't talking about those Aryan Nation guys that showed up and Richard Spencer. When I saw the full interview, I was like, wait a minute. You see how MSNBC cut that out? You know what I'm saying? And just like, made it look like there are fine people on both sides. See, look, Donald Trump's, sticking up for those white supremacists. Man, people said that Donald Trump never condemned racism. And basically, let me see here. I'm going to share my screen with you.
Okay.
He says, let me see. Let me share my screen. All right. Let's see here.
Denounce white supremacy. Okay, wait, are you listening? I denounce white supremacy. Okay. What's your next question? I denounce white supremacy. Okay. You start off with white supremacy. I denounce it.
Are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland? Are you prepared to do that?
I totally disavow the Ku Klux Klan. I totally disavow David Duke. Any group of hate, whether it's white supremacy, whether it's any other kind of supremacy, whether it's Antifa, whether it's any group of hate, I am very concerned about it, and I'll do something about it. In one voice, our nation must condemn racism, bigotry, and white supremacy. These sinister ideologies must be defeated. Hate has no place in America. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. Racism is evil. and those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups that are repugnant to everything we hold dear as a.
All right. So
Let me
yeah,
say something very interesting. I believe in fairness, right? That's why reparations is not about making white people pay or apologizing. It's about if you owe someone something, you pay it. Okay. I believe also in one standard. I find it interesting how Donald Trump, deservingly, maybe so, we could talk about that, was called out for his anti-blackness. But I find it quite disgusting how Joe Biden gets a pass. When he told Charlamagne the God, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. If that, I prayed, I never wished so bad I was in somebody else's skin than that moment. I wish he would have said something like that to me. I also want to say, I'm no Donald Trump fan, but he said something that I don't think Joe Biden, to my knowledge, since his presidency, has ever said. He said Black Americans built this nation and have never been given credit for it. Now, the thing Donald Trump should have said, we've never been given payment and compensation for it. That's a whole other story. Joe Biden, when asked about reparations, he literally said immigrants built this nation. When the Black civil rights leaders, whether people consider them leaders or not, that's personal. I don't, but that's what they were called, met with Joe Biden after his election. Did you hear the way the man spoke to them? He literally told them Hispanics are the future, and you just better get used to working with them. He literally said to Black Americans, after telling us he had our back, he literally went behind us and pushed us in our backs off a damn cliff and said that the Hispanics are taking over now. Now, I want to say, I'm not running against Joe Biden, though. I'm running against James Clyburn. And the fact that James Clyburn sold the man to us who said he had our backs, and since being in office, he hasn't done one piece of legislation specifically for Black Americans, freedmen, descendants of American slaves, but he has done policies for Asians, Native Americans, LGBTQ, and illegal immigrants. That is a slap in the face. And James Clyburn sold this man to us.
wow. And that's the thing that was really getting me bothered as well, especially with the whole summer of 2020, with the BLM movement going. I'm like, this is controlled opposition here.
Yes, it was.
Now, if this was something that Black people were wanting to do to rebel, whatever, without burning down businesses and all that other stuff, just to stand up together and say, bang, we had enough, enough is enough, then I'd have been all for it. But the way that I saw them do this was on a matter of, we're going to show you George Floyd. You can't go to work. You can't go to ball games. You can't, watch movies. You can't get out of your house. So we're going to stick this in your face. And we're just going to show this to you over and over and over again. And then you had these people angry. And then you see the way the media does it now. And even social media algorithms are the same way, where they'll take, something like police brutality back in the summer of 2020. There was case after case after case after case on the front page. Even the stuff that just happened in North Carolina at the beginning of January that should be getting that kind of attention. What happened last week should be getting that kind of attention. You got to dig to find it.
Exactly. So check this out. I'm going to focus on the gentleman against whom I'm running. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is a gentleman who spoke so passionately about making sure children of illegal immigrants at the border were being treated well. Black Americans have the highest rate of homelessness. I don't believe in the census numbers. We know we're higher than what they say. So I'm going to say we're between 15 to 20% of the population. Yet we make up over 50% of the homeless. Those children in border facilities who came to this country illegally are getting 3 meals a day, have a roof over our head. Right now, as we speak, Black women with children are among the highest demographic of the homeless people in our nation. So where is his concern for the Black children who are sleeping in the streets? I want to also say this, that 2020, most Black people, you would think we have 2 desires, mainly 3: abortion, voting rights, and we want illegal immigrants to come here. That's what you would think if you listen to the Democrats. Yet the Black Caucus released a survey asking Black Americans what was most important to us. 60% said reparations. Do you hear anyone talking about that? When Joe Biden was asked about it, he said he will be open to it only if Native Americans were included. I want to draw a contrast. I want to draw a line. James Clyburn just wrote a reparations bill. He did. For Black Americans, his people? Nope. For Native Americans, for the Catawba Native Americans who used to enslave us. Not only they used to enslave us, they used to hunt us down. It's only 3,000 Catawba in South Carolina. And he said they should get special rights, privileges, protections for historical wrongs. Right now, as we speak, his district, after 30 years, is the sixth poorest in the United States of America. 435 districts in which to live. Where you live and where I live, we are in the sixth poorest place. But for children, Black children, not the children of illegal immigrants, but Black children, Black American children, it's the third poorest. It is insane for Black people to do all of those protests that we did and call for racial justice, and yet to keep voting for James Clyburn, who does nothing to protect us from the same racial justice against which we protest. It's insanity to keep voting for James Clyburn.
Exactly. And I've always wondered who was going to run against him, like, down, in this area, because I'm registered to vote up in the upstate, which I got to change my residence soon. Only reason I still got my upstate address is because the insurance is cheaper in the upstate.
I know. Pickens? You in Pickens? So Greenville or Anderson?
Greenville, South Carolina.
Greenville,
but
okay.
I got a Spartanburg address. So basically,
okay, yes.
We call it Murderburg here. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's cheaper to have insurance in a place nicknamed Murderburg than it would be down here on the coast. Like, that make sense.
I want to say that murder, which is not a laughing matter at all, because it's something that, I think violent crime, America is still overall a very safe country. Mm-hmm. It is. But if you've lost a person to murder, you don't care if it's the only murder that happens in the decade, it still hurts you. Murder and things like that are largely a result of generational concentrated poverty. Now, I want to talk about my incumbent. He has a plan that he tried to sell to us, and this plan he has called the 10-20-30 plan. First of all, it's a bad plan. It says that you have to be, the average poverty rate in America is 11%. His plan says you have to have at least 20% of your population or more in poverty. That's very high. But I guess for him, it's not, because 26% of his district is in poverty. And for Black Americans, 30%. 1 out of every 3 Black people in his district lives in poverty. Then it says you have to not only have a high poverty rate, you have to be poor for 30 years before he'll just give you 10% of federal funding. He's tried to sell that to Black Americans as his reparations plan for us, right? But in something on his website, he said it was mainly going to help white Americans. He said it would mainly help Native Americans. And he said Hispanics. That's what he said. So not only does he not do anything for us, but he lies to us when he pretends that he is. And you showed that video at the beginning. That video shows he can deliver. He literally gave this man a presidency. And when they asked him, what does he owe you? He said nothing. He just wants a place for his kids and grandkids. Yes, he did. Now, you think Denmark doesn't even have clean water. You know about the South Carolina Corridor of Shame, which refers to the poor, majority Black rural counties along I-95 in South Carolina. Jasper County is one of them, which I've lived my entire life, and I teach here. You know about the fact that South Carolina is one of the unhealthiest states. And I just said we are the 6th poorest area in which to live, meaning Black South Carolinians are some of the poorest Black people in this country. And when asked, what do you want in return? He said nothing. So, y'all, it's not that he cannot do, he chooses not to do. But at the same time, he's pushing for illegal immigrants to get citizenship, resources, and protection. I want to ask you something. I'm not trying to take over. I want to ask you something.
Oh, no. This is your platform.
Okay.
You're my guest today, so
I know you have white conservatives that watch your show, and they always say to us, why y'all vote for the Democrats? They don't do nothing for you. Remember Donald Trump? What do you got to lose? I want to ask white conservatives who vote for Republicans, why do y'all vote for them? Because the white population, according to the recent demographics of 2020, has declined more than any other group. And that's even with the census overcounting the white population, which is something that they've always admitted. White men, middle-aged men who are not college educated, are dying at a rate so fast, sociologists have called it deaths of despair. Y'all can look it up. It's a new term they come up with, which refers to white middle-aged men dying from suicide, drug overdose, and alcoholism at a rate unseen in this country. I have not seen any Republican, and by the way, this happened in the Trump administration. I'm not going after Trump or anything. It's just a fact. I deal with facts, not feelings. I haven't heard any Republican say one word about that. I've spoken about that. Unlike what was done to our people, which no politician cared about us, I say because I'm going to be representing different people, I need to show I'm going to have good policy for all people. So what is it that the Republicans have done to warrant this swell of support from white America? Because not only that, I know people think the Republicans are for keeping illegal immigrants out. That's not true. Because when you go to their mansions, who do they have working for them? Those same illegal immigrants they pretend they don't want here. I am truly the only candidate I can think of, maybe my candidate Tamara Shealy Johnson, who is truly for America, for Americans, eliminating illegal immigration, even bringing in levels of legal immigration so that this economy can work for American citizens. That's why my platform doesn't just say repair Black America and stop. It says repair Black America to fix America. It's for all of us.
Now, Trump did, I studied Trump a lot. I had to because, I got into a lot of debates with people. I used to be on TikTok, and that's where, I had like 1.5 million followers there before my first account, and then they canned me. But, Trump did actually speak on the suicide rate, and especially when it grew during the pandemic, because, think about it. You working, you bust your ass, you know what I'm saying? One day this disease comes out of nowhere.
And boom.
And everything you work for, now you got to tell your daughter who suffers some sort of aesthetics complex with her teeth that you cannot afford to get her the braces anymore. You got to tell your son you can't send him to summer camp. These things, like, the middle class white Americans, these are things that they look forward to. One thing that I wish we would adopt from them as melanated people, as freed men, is taking that 1 week out of the fucking year, pardon my French, to go on vacation. To go on vacation with our family so we'll know who they are. That's the things they look forward to. Now, summer of 2020, they couldn't go on vacation. All the businesses were closed, so that was a depressing state. I drove through downtown Charleston. I drove through downtown Columbia. I drove through downtown Greenville. I drove through downtown Spartanburg. And by the time I was done filming all of that, I busted into tears. It was depressing. Coffee shops empty. Office buildings empty. No cars on the street anywhere. It was depressing. COVID really fucked this nation up, So I'm like, And then what is there to greet you when you get home? You got that television showing you misinformation. You got people on their phones arguing with their friends and their family, losing friendships, disconnecting themselves from their family when they're supposed to be a means to connect. And it was just, oh man, it was horrible.
It was bad. Ricky, let me tell you one statistic that literally had me in tears. Black Americans have been the most entrepreneurial group in the history of the United States. But since 2000, literally, Black American women and men start more businesses than any other group. But it also fails at the highest rate of any other group. But because, and this is data talking, if anybody wants to challenge me, Black Americans have the least amount of wealth than any other group, even though the average Black American has been in the United States of America longer than any other racial group. And when I say Black American, I'm not talking about Black immigrants, I'm talking about freedmen. Yet, as soon as the pandemic hit, 50% of Black businesses were shuttered. Now, people probably will say, well, Donald Trump didn't do anything to help them. Okay, fine. Let's say that's true. What has Joe Biden done?
Not a damn thing.
Now, not only that, though, he said $2,000 checks. How we go from $2,000 checks to what did we get? $1,400? What has he done to help keep Black America afloat? So I expect Joe Biden to be terrible because he is. He always has been. The man was a segregationist. I wasn't expecting much from him. But what I did hope was Clyburn was going to use his clout as the king maker. That's what they call him, right? To get on news channels and say, hey, Joe Biden, I gave the presidency to you. I told black South Carolinians, some of the poorest black people in America, maybe Mississippi and Louisiana are poor. I told them to vote for you because you knew us and we knew you. Which, by the way, you never tell somebody to vote for someone because you know them. You ask, what is your policy? What are you going to do for me? But James Clyburn could have said, Joe Biden, I'm calling you out and challenging you to do something for Black America. And Ricky, you know this because I can tell you're well-read and well-informed. I may not be the most well-read person, but what we both know is executive orders have a lot of power. An executive order doesn't have to go through Congress. Joe Biden could have easily he could give it to any executive agency, which means that it could be the Department of Transportation, for example. It could be the Department of War, because the Freedmen's Bureau that existed to protect Black Americans was under the Department of War. He could literally just write an executive order, say, Department of War, here's my order for you. I want y'all to look into the poverty and the lack of employment and the lack of land for Black Americans and do something about it. He can still do it now, and he has not. But what is most disgusting is that Clyburn is not pushing him to do it. But he's saying, let's lift every voice and sing the national anthem. Is that something that's going to feed your family? Is that going to feed my family? Yes. Clyburn just put forth a bill. I guess this is his way for Black America to lift every voice and sing, which is called our Negro national anthem. He wants to make that the national anthem so we can unite. Black people got to eat. We got to have land. We got to have homes. We have to have wealth. We have none of that, and he's not pushing Biden to do it. But even worse, though, is that you got Black Lives Matter, as I call them. You got Black Votes Matter. They say Black Voters Matter. No, Black Votes Matter. They sure don't care about Black voters. I confronted them too. None of them are calling Biden and Clyburn out saying, hey, we'll give you our votes, but this is what we want in return. I literally went to LaTosha Brown and Cliff Albright when they came in Columbia for a rally about saving voting rights. And I said to them, so you want us to vote for the Democrats? How are voting rights under attack if you're still saying we can vote to save them? That doesn't add up. If we can vote to save voting rights, then our voting rights are under attack. But let's say they are. Let's say we do show up and vote for them. What are you saying to Biden? This is what Black Americans want. They never answer that question. But I'm telling any person, and I'm talking to the white Americans too. Robert Smalls, you know him, Gullah Geechee, our people. He said in Congress in the 1800s, the Negro is here to stay, and it is to your benefit that he gets his due. I am telling white America and Black Americans, we're here to stay. A rising Black tide lifts all boats. What has helped everybody in America hasn't helped Black Americans. When everybody else was rising, we were to the bottom. That's why we're still to the bottom in wealth. But what helps us will help y'all. It's going to help this whole country when we get our due. James Clyburn is not going to push for it. That's why I am.
Wow. This is what I want you to do when you win. All right? When you win. Because you said you were going to do something. Well, I was watching you on the African Diaspora channel. I was sitting there like, let me study him before I interview him. Being that, some of these states and these districts have Democrats, and if they're giving you pushback once you get in the House, you got to go to their districts and be like, listen, these people aren't working for you.
Oh, I already have. You probably seen some of my videos. When Joe Cunningham, I know Nancy Mace is the representative now. When Joe Cunningham was in Hilton Head Island, which, South Carolina is so gerrymandered, I went to him and I was like, what's your Black agenda? What's your reparations plan? Hilton Head Island was once 90% Black. Now it's down to 10%. And now they're trying to put a roll through the one remaining Gullah Geechee community. What's your plan? And I went off on him. I went to Jamie Harrison. I said, Jamie Harrison, you're telling us Lindsey Graham is so bad. And of course he is. But just because Lindsey Graham is bad, that don't mean you're any better. I said, what's your Black agenda? The man said, last time I looked in the mirror, I'm Black. That ain't no Black agenda. But you see, they sell Black people on, look, I'm Black. That's all you're going to get from me. I went to James Clyburn. So if people see me doing this when I have no money and no protection right now, just imagine what's going to happen once I get to Congress and I have a national platform. If I have no money, no protection right now, and I'm already going against illegal immigration, giving citizenship to illegal immigration, going hard for reparations for Black Americans, which is going to be things like business grants and land grants, and bringing back the Freedmen's Bureau, which was Congress's department that was going to make sure Black Americans were treated right. Imagine what I'm going to do with a national platform. It takes boldness to run against James Clyburn. That's why no one has done it in 30 years, because people are afraid of him. I ain't. And if he's the king maker, if I'm not afraid of the king, I definitely ain't afraid to work my way on down to the queen, the jack, the peasants. Just wait until I get there.
I can't wait. As a matter of fact, if you need a street team, because Rocket Matrix asked earlier in the stream, if you need a street team, man, I'll come and knock on some doors and, pound some pavement with you. As a matter of fact, I want to get in touch with some more like-minded people. Some of them going to be on the conservative side of the aisle because your views are lining up. So we got, one thing I want to tell Americans all together, Republican or Democrat, we got to get rid of these titles because, hell, if Tulsi Gabbard had a ran against Donald Trump, that would have been a hard decision to make. It would have been down to the wire for me. Like, wait a minute, Tulsi Gabbard, Donald Trump, both of those people lined up with my views. Tulsi Gabbard is not afraid to say what's on her mind, especially when she called Kamala Harris out on stage and Joe Biden. Somehow that dynamic duo made it to the presidency with the public knowing that. But see, here's the thing that you're going to be dealing with. And this is why I worry for you. When you're talking about going in and putting Black people in a position where they get wealth, where they actually get it, that takes money out of the pocket of drug dealers, that takes money out of the pockets of the prison industrial complex, that takes money out of the pockets of these people, because you're going to get approached when you get into Washington. You probably know a guy by the name of Brandon Brown. He's from my home district up here in Trey Gowdy's old territory. You know what I'm saying? Up in the upstate. So he tried to run against Trey, the guy that was replacing Trey Gowdy, got shamed bad. Now he works with Joe Biden, hand in hand. And I always knew he was full of shit. Even when we hung out together a long time ago, I knew he was full of shit. He unfriended me on social media because I was going in on Joe Biden, and Joe Biden is like his daddy. We got so many bootlicks, so many agents within us that they will try to sabotage a plan that works better for the whole, so they can benefit, so a few people in their circle can benefit. That's why I worry, because who will they go after? Who will they get to come out and be agents? People who have nothing. You see what I'm saying?
It's happening already. I said I wanted to do this. We know how nasty and vicious the far right can be. But we don't talk about how nasty and vicious the far left can be. When I tell y'all, I'm in South Carolina. I work with a lot of white Republicans, and I'm calling South Carolinians every day. When I talk to white Republicans, they may hang up on me, or they may say, well, get a job, something rude like that. Or some may talk and say, yeah, I believe y'all owe reparations, but I feel it'll be too divisive. I don't agree with that. But they hang up and usually go about their business, and they don't text me anything. When I speak to a lot of Black South Carolinians, a lot of them agree with reparations. But when I speak to the Black South Carolinians who are like the blue no matter who, and whoever is a Democrat, we must worship everything they say, those are the nastiest ones I have to deal with. If you go on my Twitter page, I'm not having a bunch of white conservatives or far right people call me disgusting names, take pictures of me, and are sexualizing my body and making up lies about me. Those are those same type of people you just mentioned, these Black Americans who feel that the Democrats are to do what they are to do what the Democrats direct them to do. I have such disdain for people. But I want to talk about the prison industrial complex and drug dealers. Reparations cost this country almost $20 trillion. We would be twice as rich if we didn't have it. A lot of people give into what's called crimes of poverty, economic hardships, like dealing drugs. When reparations comes in, it will span new industries that we can't even imagine right now. This is Black History Month, right? One of the technologies we're using was innovated by a Black woman named Marion Croak. She is still alive as we speak. And this is something that's used through Google, Zoom, FaceTime, Snapchat, you see, and we're still using it. If this was able to happen when we have very little resources, imagine what we'll do when we have more.
Hello? You're Marcel. Are you guys here? I think Marcel's having some technical difficulties. He'll be back with us here shortly. But yeah, he was on the roll there. Let me see what's going on in the chat here.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm sorry. Sorry everyone. Happens all the time. James Clyburn's district. Internet is awful. I apologize. But I'm saying the prison industrial complex, there will be industries we've never heard of, y'all. And the white middle class you were speaking about, because that article mentioned one of the reasons for the increase in suicide is the fact that the middle class is shrinking. There's a myth of a black middle class. There ain't never really been one, not to no fault of our own because of the lack of wealth, which is why I'm pushing for reparations. But this will spur industries out of this world. Right now, we look at people like Jeff Bezos, who was born into wealth. He's not a self-made man. His grandfather owned like something 50,000 acres in Texas. He's taking little space trips, and we're supposed to worship him. A lot of us can outdo him if we had the wealth. When this country is twice as wealthy as it is now, if we think America is a great country now, speaking economically, economic powerhouse, imagine what we would do when we would double its wealth. So I don't worry about this void, like drug dealing, prison industrial complex. We have to think about what it will bring us and not what we will lose, because really it's all a gain. Reparations is a net positive for everyone. And as far as the people who sell out, here's what I say to y'all. The way a person campaigns is the best indicator of how they will govern. If a person, because like you said, this guy, you said you already knew that he was full of it. You can usually see it with people. If I sell out to get to where I'm going, then I'm going to sell out once I get to where I go. I've already had companies drop me because I do not support letting people have an abortion just for the hell of it. Only in certain circumstances, because I'm not for illegal immigration, and I'm not even for legal immigration that is going to deprive Black Americans first and foremost, but American citizens opportunities. So because of that, I've had organizations say we can't work with you any longer. And guess what? Sayonara. Don't let the door hit you on your way out. You see, I'm not going to sell out. I'd rather lose on my values than to sell out to get to where I want to go. If I sell out to get to where I'm going, y'all, I'm going to sell you out once I get there. And the fact that I'm willing to lose, which I'm not, on the things that I really believe in, you can better believe I ain't going to sell out when I get there. I'm going to stand up for the things which I really believe in.
You know, it's weird we talk about this. When I was on TikTok, I noticed that there were these pro-blacks that they were so powerful that they could talk to the administrators at TikTok. And I'm like, wait a minute. So basically what they were doing was putting out this whole thing of black people are victims, right? Victimology. Now, the way that I came off was not, we're not victims. I'm not a victim. I did it, so can you. But at the same time, I was wrong on one part of that stance. I was blessed with a household with a mom and dad in it, with old Southern values. You see what I'm saying? I was blessed with opportunities. I've seen things. Because I was blessed with those opportunities does not mean that other black people are. You see what I'm saying? There are people, I had a learning disability growing up. And to be honest with you, if it wasn't for my parents being cool with the school principal, I wouldn't have graduated. I would have had to win and got my GED. You see what I'm saying? So I understand. Now I'm beginning more to understand Rocket Man, Rocky Matrix, actually listening to him in the chat room. Kind of opened up my eyes a little bit on some things, and just like actually sitting down and actually talking to other black leaders in the community that are really about it, about that, had started changing my mind on things, and even dealing with other people in my family. So, but as far as selling out, I've been offered, I've been propositioned before to have my platform blow up. They were going to give me the bots. They were going to give me the people that like me. They were going to have me traveling the country. I could have sold my business and made more money doing what I'm doing right now. But there was one reason I didn't do it. I got to look at myself in the mirror every day. And I don't know if you look at those conservatives. If you look at them, they look like they're deteriorating.
Yes, they.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
dies 1,000 deaths, and they deserve every single last one of them. I want to say something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, you want to show me one of them?
Yeah.
Which one? There's such a wide variety.
This is Brandon Tatum back in 2019.
Okay, I've never heard of him before.
Yeah, this is him in 2019, and this is him now in 2022. How does that happen? How does that happen to a man? You know, that means that man is under some stress. So you know, when you start looking at these people, and then you're like, the dude Brandon Brown, that's in the upstate, that kisses Joe Biden's ass now. This man he was fat when he was doing all of this stuff, and he's even fatter now. You know, you representing the public image, but you gained all this weight, and you look like a hot mess, 500 pounds worth of a hot mess. So when I start looking at, deeper into it, I'm like, I don't want that kind of hatred on me. You see what I'm saying? Jim Clyburn got a lot of hatred on him right now. What I really want to do, and the purpose of my platform is what me and Melissa came up with called Operation Love, LOVE, lifting our voices equally. Our voices aren't being lifted equally by the media as it stands. You should have more media coverage than what you do.
Yeah, they're too afraid of Clyburn. And here's the thing. I want to backtrack too. There are certain stances I have that the mainstream media doesn't want people to know that Black Americans, there's millions of Black Americans who think the same thing. I'm going to go back to abortion because I know Clyburn and the Democrats are going to catch on to that. I want to talk about that and be very brief. People here, it's a woman's body, it's a woman's choice. First of all, let me address this. It's not. It takes a man as well as a woman to make a child. So it can't ever just be a woman's issue because a man's involved in that process. But I want to say too, abortion, Black American women have the highest rates of abortions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But over 80% of Black women who are interviewed have said they get an abortion because of economic hardships, not because they want one, but because they feel they just cannot afford to take care of a child. Now, that has been consistent since the 1970s. And why do Black American women, like Black American men, have such low wealth and deal with such poverty? It's because we have not gotten reparations. Reparations is not an anti-poverty plan. Even a rich Black American still deserves it. It's because it is a standard. You have to repair what you broke. But you would think with us voting for the Democrats, they see that Black American women have aborted 20 million Black babies. Imagine we already are an economic, social, and cultural force to be reckoned with now. With 50 million of us. Imagine what we would have been if we had those other 20 million here. Instead of them trying to make our numbers grow, they're trying to just say, let's bring more illegal immigrants in, give them the right to vote, like they're trying to do in California and New York, instead of trying to help us have more children. So they don't pass plans to give Black American legislation. They don't write legislation to make sure that Black Americans get reparations. What do? Over 80% of abortion clinics are in Black neighborhoods. So it's like putting someone in a room with poison berries and no food. You say, well, you can feed them, but you ain't going to do it. So you just give them poison berries, they can kill themselves and die. Instead of saying to Black American woman, we hear you want your children, we're going to deal with all these issues of poverty that you go through. Instead, they say, hell with that. Here's a poison berry. Here's an abortion clinic. Go ahead and abort your child. They don't want us to hear that if we had those other 20 million, we will be running the scene politically, and we would have had reparations a long time ago. We would have our Black communities much stronger. They know a lot of Black American men and women, because I speak with thousands of Black South Carolinian men and women. It's a relatively reliable sample size. Think like me. They don't want to get on James Clyburn's bad side. They don't want to hear that we aren't, they don't want the word to get out that Black Americans are not for this black and brown thing they try to pass. There is no black and brown unity. A lot of these so-called brown people, if you go to Latin America, they don't treat the black Latinos well. So they definitely will come here and side with us. So they don't want this to get out. They want people to keep thinking that if a black person talks like me, they are a Republican. They want
because that's my first assumption of you.
Right. They want people to think that a black person is either going to do what the hell Joe Biden says or we're a Republican. What did Kamala Harris say to Charlamagne the Guy? She said, don't start talking like a Republican. So wait, we're supposed to puppet what you tell us to say? Oh no, you don't tell me what to say. I say and think what the hell I want to say and think what the hell I want to think and do what the hell I want to do. And I have a right to the Democratic Party because if not for my people, you wouldn't exist. So I'm going to say what the hell I want to say and still run as a Democrat if I choose to do so. That's why I like coming to platforms like y'all's, because I don't believe in safe places. I believe that I should talk to the people to whom I want to represent. And if I want people to listen to me and believe in me, and most importantly, vote for me, I have to listen to those people and they have to hear from me.
This is what I want to do for everybody that's in the room right now. Dig deep in your pockets. Some of you ain't got to dig deep at all. And guys, put that link in the room. Donate to this man's campaign. The 6th district needs him. America needs him. Go ahead and put that link in the room and, pull out your credit cards. And let's see, do you have a Cash App or?
I have my website. It is marcelforcongress.com. And I also want to say to people, I want to hear from everyone. Death threats, I'm going to laugh at you and, you just report to the FBI and keep it moving. But people who want to have good faith conversation, give feedback, or maybe if you have talents or skills like Ricky, I'm definitely going to be hitting you up for your help because I definitely need it. I want to give out my number because I'm serious. I don't answer when you call, but I will always text back because calling I'm a millennial. We don't answer our phones, but we text. So my number is 843 940-8983. And I get a lot of messages from South Carolinians, and I do respond. I mean, I always respond right away because I get so many, but I do. And look, some people just text me right now. I have a blur on my screen, but if you can see, some messages are emboldened. So people are already texting me 843 940-8983. I want to be the type of candidate I wish I had. I want to be a candidate who's accessible. You're not going to vote for me and then you never see me again. And then you wonder, what the hell is he doing for us? And I just come out with some BS. Oh, I got $16 million for infrastructure or $16 billion when South Carolina needs $67 billion per year. A one-time payment of $16 billion, which is woefully insufficient, is not going to cut it. No, I want to be in constant communication with my voters. If I want your votes, I should want to hear your concerns and hear your voices. Now,
one thing that I would recommend as well, because you are, on the ticket, you know what I'm saying? We need to get out in the streets and make some noise. We need to get some like-minded people out in the streets and make some noise.
Yes,
to make the news media come to us. You see what I'm saying? I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to just, I have nothing to lose right now. In a certain sense,
I need you then.
Yeah, I have nothing to lose because I'm self-employed, so I'm not worried about somebody saying, "Well, Ricky, no." F the dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? We need to get out there in them streets and have people come to us. And the thing is, I want to, you're going to have to, I want you to vet me as well. You have to vet the people that we're going to bring in, because if you don't, because what I'm doing is I'm working with some people out of Colombia. We're trying to start up the Freedom Train. And basically what that is, that's a Black organization that we don't want to be involved with white liberals, and we don't want people coming out there protesting with us, because when you saw Black Lives Matter, you had other people holding up signs.
Yep, infiltrators.
Yeah, and people coming out starting riots, or they're just holding up signs to take away from what I thought Black people were trying to do. What the hell does our liberation have to do with LGBTQ rights? Because their rights
Exactly.
don't have anything to do with us.
Thank
You
you.
know.
And I'm LG. And by the way, full disclaimer, I'm LGBTQ, but half of me have time you heard me mention that. None, because I'm putting my blackness. Before I was LGBTQ, I was a black man. And the issues in my life that have caused me the most pain, my family's pain, deals with our blackness. And like you, I want to repeat, y'all, the Black Caucus, and I want to make this very clear. You go to the Hispanic Caucus's webpage, they say they're just for Hispanic. And when they say Hispanic, they mean the white-looking Hispanics. They don't mean the black ones. So let's be very clear. When you go to the Asian American Pacific Islanders webpage, they say they are just for Asian American Pacific Islanders. You go to the Black Caucus's webpage, they got people of color. Excuse me. You're called the Black Caucus, not the People of Color Caucus. That's what you want to do, call yourself the People of Color Caucus. They sent out a survey and asked Black Americans what we wanted. And Black Americans said reparations were the most important thing. How do we get from that to now LGBTQ issues and illegal immigrants getting citizenship and student debt cancellation? Yeah, I'm all for student debt cancellation, but that's not what most Black Americans said they wanted. Y'all asked and we answered, and they've ignored us. And Clyburn has not done what he should be doing as the majority whip, meaning he's the person that tells the Democrats, this is what we need to be voting on. This is the policy we need. He has not done his job in making them do it for us. I am.
Now, Rocket Man, Rocket Matrix asked the question. So, if you were to get, when you get elected, how would you get to, because they're going to switch the majority whip. You know that, right? They're not going to
get. Of course, yeah. They might give me a try, right? No, I ain't having that.
But you got two things going for you that the Democrats say that they're all about. You're of LGBTQ. You're melanated.
Chat.
You're running on a Democratic ticket.
Chat.
They should have you on Fox News right now.
Right. Exactly. I should be their poster. Like, get the donkey the hell out of here. They should have like a silhouette of me. Like, I should be like, you think they'll be seeking me? But no, once I stood up against Clyburn, let me tell y'all something. I know there's some white conservatives listening, so I want to let the white conservatives know, this is kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I'm being serious. You want to destroy the Democratic Party? All you got to do is stop being anti-black. If the Republican Party could literally dominate American politics if they were not so anti-black. They can see how unhappy Black Americans are with the Democratic Party. Say, well, damn, you know what? Then we're going to start doing policy for Black Americans. They're too racist to do it. So I want to say to people that the moment I started speaking about tangibles, that means specific policies for Black Americans, the Democratic Party said, oh, no, we don't want him to get in front of the media. That's disgusting. And that's why I'm going there to call them out. But you said Rocket Man had a question for me?
Yeah, he says, what is your plan to bring about the tangibles?
So when he says plan, I guess he's talking about reparations. He means all of my different policy points because that's an easy answer.
All of them.
Okay. So here's my plan. When I get into Congress, Rocket Man, I have the same ability that all these other congressional representatives have, Clyburn has, but they don't use. I get to write bills. And a bill is what you call law before they become law. I'm not saying that for y'all. I'm saying that for anybody who might watch this and may be new to politics. I can write a legislation to make it so that where people who have heirs property, which is a form of property, where if your parent dies without leaving a will, no one owns the property, but you become a share in it, meaning you all get a piece of it, but you can't get any money from it. You can't do anything with it. I can unlock that $28 to $90 billion in just Georgia and South Carolina alone that Black families can get, so we can get well. I can write legislation to where schools, instead of being funded by local property taxes, meaning if you're in a poor area and your property taxes base is much lower, your schools will be much poorer. But if you're in a richer area and your property taxes are through the roof, so you're going to have better schools, that's not the way it should be. If education is the great equalizer, we should make school funding equitable. I can write the legislation saying that we come up with a standard and counties put what they can put towards it, but the federal government closes the gap. I can write legislation. Now, once you write legislation, you have to then push it. If it matters to you, it's not enough for me to just pull out food. I got to season it. I have to cook it. Once I write the legislation, I then need to get other people to vote for it. because nothing gets done without votes. That's where I need y'all. I'm going to use the feather if I can, or the hammer. The feather is when I will go to my fellow representatives in Congress and I will let them know how this legislation is going to help their constituents too. Everything I'm doing is going to be through the lens of serving the majority of the South Carolina 6th Congressional District, who are Black Americans. But like I said, what helps Black America helps all of America. So whether I go to a Republican like Joe Manchin, whose district is like almost all white, or I go to another person who has a majority Black district, like Joyce Betty in Ohio, because I think she has like Cleveland, parts of Cleveland, it's going to help all their constituents. Now, if they don't get on board, I'm throwing the feather away and I'm pulling out the hammer. That's what I'm going to do. What Ricky heard me doing, apparently he liked it. I'm going to their districts and I'm going to do with their constituents what I'm doing for South Carolinians now. I'm going to educate them. I'm going to let them know this is what the data shows. You may think you got it going on because you get to go to the movies once a week and order a nice meal, but this is really where you are. So if this little thing happens, you're on the street. I'm going to then show them this is the bill that I'm writing, and this is what it's going to do for your life right away. And then I'm going to say, this is your representative who's not supporting this, meaning they're not supporting you. Accountability has been missing. The reason so many people are unhappy with Congress is because they do whatever the hell they want to do, and they don't have to answer to us, but they're supposed to represent us. I'm going to bring accountability back, and I'm going to bring pressure back, which for Black Americans, Congress they never had to deal with. That's how I'm going to get it done, Rocket Man.
Now, when you were talking about doing what you're doing, because Brandon, I lost train of thought when bringing up Brandon Brown earlier. He said to me, and I quote, once you get to the point where you close to winning, people will come to visit you and tell you that you cannot do what you promised to your constituents and stay in this business. But if you hang on, then they're going to take care of you financially. Jim Clyburn's getting some of that, I'm just throwing businesses out there, some of that corporate America money to vote the way he's voting. That's
pharmaceutical money. Yeah,
pharmaceutical money. That's he's getting votes for these people at the dock. You know what I'm saying? Why we don't see a lot more of our people out there on those docks working.
Exactly.
He's getting money. They're paying him handsomely to cover something more sinister up. So when you start doing that, you're going to be rattling the cage. You feel me? So when you start rattling that cage, that's where you're going to need the protection. You see what I'm saying? None of the politicians up there are ready to rattle the cage. And one thing that I could say good about Donald Trump, I got a lot of great things to say about him.
He rattled the cage.
He rattled the cage. So, the only thing I can tell you, brother, is be careful out there because of anybody you let in your circle. You can let a Judas in your circle and things happen. It's like, the BS that goes on. They've tried to plant stuff on you. Yes. This is dirty. This is the dirty business. And, because you're going to be exposing dirty money. Once you start doing the things that could actually help the American people, you're going to start exposing dirty money. One of the things I was worried about when we was talking about the Freedom Train thing, I'm like, damn, if we're talking about liberating these communities, going into these communities and cleaning up the trash and cleaning up the graffiti, what's the next move? You see what I'm saying? These police officers actually, and some of them in these communities know what's going on. They're on the take.
Because they are, and because some of them are part of it. And trust me, I know that from experience. Let me say that. You bring up a good point. I hear that more than anything from people who enthusiastically support me. They was like, I just want you to be careful. And it's not even always about physical safety. It's about my reputation and things like that. I want to say to people, y'all, I appreciate the concern for me. Ricky, I mean that. I do. I want to say, y'all, I appreciate that. And I need to learn to become a better listener. When people used to say to me, I used to get all boisterous, like, I ain't afraid. And I'm not. But I want to say to people, I want y'all to worry about me if I ever say I'm no longer running for reparations or I give up. That's when I'm really in danger. As far as where my protection is going to come from and who's going to have my back, that's where I need y'all to come through. If y'all see me up in Congress, because I'm going to get there, I'm going to be up there in that room alone, speaking up for us. but I can't do it alone. I'm going to need y'all to have my back. So if all the Democrats are saying, well, he ain't nobody, he don't got no support, we just going to like put him on a nothing, do nothing committee and ignore him, I need to be able to call y'all up and say, hey, y'all, F them up. Flood the offices with phone calls and emails. And I need y'all to be like, oh, hold on. Get him off that committee about flowers and put him on that committee about the ways and means of education and labor. I need y'all to say, oh, hey, I got friends in California. Where's Nancy Pelosi's office? You think we don't see what you're trying to do to Gregg Marcel Dixon? You see, y'all, this ain't about me. It's about us. I am like a car, a dirty old beat up car, right? That you may not always want to drive to get to where you want to go, but it gets you from point A to point B, from point B to point C. I'm just the vehicle to get us to reparations, to where we can repair Black America, to fix America. I'm just the vehicle. And I just want to get all of us, my freedmen people, to reparations so that America can get to truly be, for once, a country that's completely great for everyone. But I need y'all to have my back when that happens, because there ain't nothing more powerful than the people. If this is a democracy, then the people ultimately have the power. And I think they've forgotten that at Congress. They think they have the power. I am glad that I had nothing when I started, and I still have nothing now, but I've raised tens of thousands of dollars. Y'all have donated that to me. They think they have the power. It's time for us to remind them that they don't.
Wow. I ask a question real quick from Melissa Foster.
Okay.
That's my producer. What are your ideas on removing the prison clause in the 13th Amendment?
I'm definitely going to push for an amendment. The one that says that servitude and enslavement cannot happen unless it's for prison labor. That should not be the case at all. So I'm definitely going to push to amend that. So yes, Melissa, that's definitely an issue. And I have a brother, I have an oldest brother in prison, and it's one thing to pay them away. And by the way, I am not one of those people who sits there and has a bleeding heart for people who are violent murderers and rapists while their victims are sitting there mourning over their loved ones and nothing's being done for them. That's not me, everybody. I feel like if you do something violent to somebody, you need to get the same thing in return, right? But y'all, the media has us thinking that everyone in prison is a violent murderer or rapist. The truth of the matter is, y'all, that the majority of people in prison, and I want y'all to listen to me when I say this, the majority of people in prison are there for non-violent offenses that really do not warrant the sentences they have. I am never going to defend wrongdoing, but I also find it wrong to sentence someone who's caught with a dime bag of marijuana to 5 years in prison when you have people in Congress who have districts that they've been off for 30 years, like Clyburn, and the majority of Black population is going to zero wealth, but his portfolio has increased by millions. That, to me, is the crime. So I'm not defending murderers and rapists, y'all. I think they should get what they give out to others. But what Melissa's talking about are the majority of people in prison who are non-violent offenses in which people weren't even really irreparably harmed, being done, having to be forced into labor. Then when they get hurt or exposed to a disease, they get treated worse than a second-class citizen. So, Melissa, I'm for eliminating that because, like I said, my oldest brother is in prison, and I've heard the horror stories.
There's a guy that, because I do rescue, rescue animals. All the animals on my property are rescue animals. Most of the people working in that animal shelter are from the local jail for child support.
Wow.
Yeah, they're the local jail for child support. And one of the guys who actually, when he got out, I used him to do some carpentry work on my properties here, told me that, he got, scratched by a dog. And it was like this big ass infection that was going. Now he got sick, and the prison and the jail guards was like, all right, screw you, whatever. When he got to the point where he was about to die, they still didn't want to give him the treatment. The lady came in because, they have somebody on staff, a nurse, and the nurse was like, get him an ambulance right now. He had some sort of infection
A
from that
staph infection.
And they didn't even want to help him. And so this man was about to die in captivity because he didn't have the wealth or enough accrued wealth to keep up with his monthly obligation.
And you see, that's what I'm saying. The same thing with black women and abortion. You instead of trying to deal with the poverty that a lot of black women say over 80%, nearly all, is the reason why they want to have an abortion. You say, well, let me just help you kill your kid even more. Let me put all the abortion clinics in your neighborhood. And then we get these white liberal women saying, my body, my choice. Well, if you so for abortion, why aren't all the abortion clinics in the white neighborhoods? Why do you put almost every single last abortion clinic, over 80% of them, in black neighborhoods if you white liberal women are so for it? The same thing with black men now. On the other hand, it's not these black men don't want to take care of their kids. It's that, first of all, the low wages, wage discrimination, and the fact that black unemployment has always been double or triple that of white unemployment. They're forced into prison, and to get treated that way just because you couldn't make a payment, instead of saying, well, let me help you get job training or pay more. I want to tell you a story about my oldest brother. Then he was caught with us, I don't know, something about a cell phone, and they literally put the man in a closet, a room that was about the size of a closet, filthy, and he broke out with like a staph infection or something like that.
See, I toured the jails.
Right.
What?
8 months. 8 months for just being caught with a cell phone. Solitary confinement. They put him out once a week. Once a week. I can't exaggerate. My mother died, and we wrote the state a representative for Edgeville, South Carolina, because that's where it was right there by Aiken, South Carolina, Augusta, Georgia. I have the email if anybody wants to challenge me. And I feel that is not right. Now, if he was a mass murderer, I can get it. But the mass murderers ain't being treated that bad. We just saw what Joe Biden's administration did with the people who lynched Ahmaud Arbery. They've allowed them to go to a federal prison of their choice. But Donald Trump is the only anti-black person, right? Joe Biden literally gave people who did an old-fashioned, let's lynch the Negro running in the neighborhood, and his administration literally said, what federal prison you want to go to? We don't want to be too hard on y'all.
After they lynched the person.
After they lynch him. This is what the man who said he had our back did. So, Melissa, I'm sorry to go off on a tangent about that, but I'm definitely going to do away with that.
You know the crazy part about that was your brother by any chance the rapper that was on the news who filmed the rap video from the cell phone?
No, no, that was not. No, I don't know if he's rapping yet. I mean, he hasn't started rapping yet that I know of.
There was a guy that they like made the news around here in South Carolina. Dude, they went viral filming a rap video. They were pretty good too. Like I'm sitting up here like, damn, that's all right, But they put the guy in solitary confinement. And see, I was gonna work probably back in 2011-ish, 2010, when I didn't have nothing to do. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like the job economy sucked. I actually was gonna work as a corrections officer at the county jail. I go in there. That place looked like a public bathroom.
Yeah.
Shit turds on the wall. Snot. Yes. Anything you can think of that's disgusting that comes from a human being is on the walls and on the floor of this place. And I'm like, who cleans all this up? And it just stays that way. And I'm looking at the ceilings. The ceilings, like, who I want to know who poops in their hand and throws it up on the ceiling to see if it sticks. Like,
and guess who helped put them there?
Jim Crow
Joe. And Joe knows us. That's the man that Clyburn sold to us. And, I want to, because, I already know what's going to happen. But see, I don't give a damn. I already know the black vote blue no matter who type people who think that the Democrats are our masters. And I already know the white liberals who think that because they don't like Trump and they probably never said the N-word in their lives. Yeah, right. Those are usually my two biggest, nastiest people. Right now, they're probably on Twitter saying nasty things about me. And like I said, you would think the white Republicans would be the nasty anti-black ones I get the most. No, the most thing they'll probably say to me is get a job or reparations handout, which is not. It's these white liberals who say some of the nastiest stuff, and I screenshot every single bit of it. So the next time they want to talk about the Bernie Bros or the Trumpers, I want to add on the white liberals who are anti-black and the vote Brunette who black people who think that because they're black, they get a pass, but they are Democrat before they're black. See, I'm black way before I'm a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
They are given a pass to the man who put our people in this type of predicament. I want that to marinate with people. And Clyburn sold this man to us.
Wow. You know what? You gotta have a strong case, and I think in this area, people are gonna come out and listen.
I know they will. That's why the best thing that people can do for me is what you graciously did for me and Melissa and people in the comments. I haven't been able to read all the comments, y'all. I don't duck any question. Just I don't do safe places. But so that's why I give up my number, 843-940-8983. I may have to respond to you short and brief just because I get so many.
Mm-hmm.
Clyburn is going to do several things. See, I like to educate people. I think it's the most disrespectful thing to tell adults what you should be doing. Go vote for me. Nah, I need to educate you on why you should vote for me. If I come to you and say vote for me because Clyburn bad and I'm good, because that's what they did with Donald Trump. They said Trump bad, Biden good. Ha, please. I'm never going to come to you and say how bad of a person Clyburn is. I don't know Clyburn's heart. He may be a wonderful man. I'm not running against him because I think he's an awful person. I'm running against him because he's been a bad politician and he's been a bad representative with an awful record, especially for Black South Carolinians who are the majority in his district. You are helping me educate South Carolinians because what Clyburn is going to do, y'all, I'm saying it first, he's already doing one thing. One, he's going to put somebody else on the ballot, a third person, to siphon votes away from me. Now, no one has challenged this man in 20 years. Now, all of a sudden, two people are challenging him. I and another guy who's just there. I find that quite suspicious. That's one. He may even get Jamie Harrison to run for the House just to take away more votes from me. So that's one thing he's going to do, y'all. He's going to flood the ticket. Two, he's going to slander my reputation. He's going to come to areas and do opposition research and pay people to say bad things about me and exaggerate and do lies because he can't run on his record because his record is pathetic. So he has to run on lies against me. But three, this is where I'm going to need y'all to come through. He's going to flood the airwaves with tech. He has millions of dollars from pharmaceutical money, y'all. He sells out to the pharmaceutical industry. That's why he doesn't care about people getting sick in South Carolina and dying from things like diabetes because he gets money from those companies to keep them rich. He is going to flood the airwaves for how wonderful he's been, and he's going to go to the churches and show all these people who love him. He really pays them to be there and gives them fish fry dinners. I'm trying to give y'all real policies and reparation. He's giving fish fry dinners. He's going to say how wonderful he's been, and he's going to try to bury me out. So he's going to flood the airways like 2 weeks before it's time to vote. He's just going to be flooding the radio wave, the newspapers, the commercials. I need y'all to educate at least 5 other South Carolinians who can then educate 5 other South Carolinians. And that way they can block out the noise. Forget whether Gregg Marcel Dixon is a nice guy or a bad guy. Clyburn's a nice guy or a bad guy. You look at his record. You look at what I am proposing, you look at my plan, and you vote accordingly.
I got one last thing I want to put out there. Now, I don't agree totally with Jason Black of the Black Authority. I don't agree totally with him, not on everything, but you're going to disagree on some things now. But
right.
Like the major things we do agree on.
And that's what matters.
Yeah, that without all the fluff of white supremacy, like he throws everything and subscribes to the white supremacy. I want to see if I could get Rocky to Christine. He's in the 6th district down here in Charleston. 6th district. I'll put
the counties in Charleston. I'll write the counties for it. Jasper, Hampton. I study my district. Allendale, Colleton, Bamberg, Clarendon, Williamsburg. I spelled Bamberg wrong. I put Bambergy, but y'all know what I mean.
Calhoun County.
Calhoun.
I hated Calhoun County, man. I drove
And I
through there.
have parts of Orangeburg, Charleston, Dorchester. It's a big district, yes. Dorchester, Berkeley, Richland, and Charleston. And Buford as well. So
what I'm gonna do this
system.
week is reach out to some of the people that I have like local protest with here, like at the freedom rallies and whatnot, and get them your information because they probably never heard about you. But only thing that they have in common, they hate Jim Clyburn, so they might start pushing you more too. So, I mean, if you didn't get much in donations today, I don't know how much these people donated. The only thing I can see is when they donate to me. But I can get you some more endorsements, man. I'll go out there and knock on some doors for you because.
Thank you so much, Ricky. That's the most important thing. Because look, all the exposure I've been getting in the Twitter world and in the new black media world, which you're a part of, people think the new black media is just like, and I love TD hip hop to death. People think the new black media is just that. The new black media is a wide variety of black people with different perspectives because black Americans were very diverse people. But you are the first outlet, though, outside of a newspaper. Bluffton Today, Bluffton. Bluffton Today, I have a connect there, and she's always good about reaching out to me and getting my name out. But you're the first media outlet in South Carolina to reach out to me. I want to say this is what matters most because at the end of the day, y'all, it ain't money that's going to win this, but I do need money. Donations helps me get my message out. It is voters. So thank you for that, Ricky. I will take any connection you can do, and I'll appreciate any word of mouth advertising you can do. So I really appreciate that.
Now, whenever you're having your local rallies and whatnot, do you ever get a chance to do your rallies? Because I'm free always on Saturdays and Sundays. There's only some Saturdays because we just got finished cleaning up all that mess from that tornado in Kentucky that was unexpected. But Elite Gaming says, keep up the good work, Ricky. Thank you, Elite Gaming. But all the monies today, I appreciate that, Elite Gaming. All the monies today, I want to go to this man's campaign here. Okay, anything you guys have, get to this man's campaign. That way, he can fight harder. He can buy more newspaper time because newspaper advertisement is becoming
commercials. And I have commercials on television. Newspaper advertisement. I have commercials, y'all. They've been playing throughout Columbia, Orangeburg area. They're going to be playing throughout all of South Carolina. I have radio advertisements, newspaper advertisement. I have written material that I send, especially because older voters tend to like something tangible they can read. I have to get venues. And y'all, people like to say grassroots. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was not a grassroots candidate, y'all. That's a myth. She was a woman who came from a home and maybe a relatively middle-class background. No, I'm grassroots. I came from two parents who both went through terrible things during the crack epidemic of the 1980s, and both were high school parents. And my network might be lower than the number of fingers I have both hands put together. But I'm doing this because this is the right thing to do. And like I said, we need to remind Congress, y'all don't have the power. Y'all don't tell us how it's going to go. We tell you how it's going to go. So yes, donations do help, but most importantly, to voters and education helps with that.
This is what I'm going to do, and that's why I have to get with some other patriots in the area and other patriots who do what I do. Even get you on the Freedom Fam Network, which I know them. They're very popular on TikTok. Get them to put your word out there because, see, right now what you're talking about is not a Democratic or a Republican thing. It's a right and wrong thing. And
that's right.
And as we, as the politics unfolds, see, Donald Trump broke the machine. When he broke the machine, he didn't actually drain the swamps. He just showed us who the creatures were in that swamp.
Exactly.
And now
it's all of them.
And it's all of them. So we gotta, you gotta understand how bad people hate James Clyburn right now around the country, not just here in this area. Around the country, they hate James Clyburn.
Trust me. Take all of their hatred of his record and his failure of Black America, add it up, multiply it times 100 billion, and you still wouldn't even have half of mine. That's the level of rage and anger I have at his failure. He could do for us, and every single time he's chosen not to. It's almost like he's taunting us, like, I ain't gonna do nothing for you, and what you gonna do about it? Y'all, let's show him we are what we're gonna do about it.
And we need to get some bigger rallies. And basically, I think that if you was to put on a freedom rally, these patriots will show up. You know, even the white patriots will. They will show up to get behind you because that's how much they hate Jim Clyburn.
Well, illegal immigration is going to hurt all Americans. I mean, how can you take care of somebody else's children when your own are starving? And he's for illegal immigration, okay? And as far and the black family, we should be making where black people can have more families, not aborting our children out of existence. So we will be in touch with you very soon. I'm Ricky Offline, someone from my team, and I myself, I thank you for having me. I know a lot of people may have questions for me, y'all. If I wasn't able to answer it, you could text me. I do respond. On Twitter, I'm at Marcel for Congress. If anybody is on Twitter, you know I'm very, very active on Twitter. So anybody feel free to reach out to me.
Now, have you ever thought about reaching out to, what's her name? I'm going to have her on my show probably around March. Marjorie Taylor Greene or any of the guys on the right side that, you know, share those same views?
I've never reached out to her. I'm not even that familiar. Of course, I hear her name. You know, I hear in the news and stuff like that, but no, I've never reached out to her. But if she supports reparations for freedmen, we can have lunch together and we can make it happen. I am bipartisan. I could be working with the Republicans. I could work with the Libertarians. I could work with the Democrats. I could work with the progressives. I could work with the independents. I could work with the Green Party. Whomever, if you are for repairing Black America to fix America.
And Rocket Matrix gave a bunch of names here. I tagged a bunch of people just so they can come here and try to reach out to you as well. I got Tough Love. I got Angela Stoughton King, Mr. Palmer, Bernard Riley. He's the Black Manosphere guy. The Black Authority, Fly Nubian Queen, Black Alpha Network, Dennis Sperling Unfiltered, the lead attorney, Maurice Delk, Kelly Ray, which is his wife, and the Heart of Inspiration. So these are people who can they have bigger platforms than mine. So they could get your word out. These are just people, you know, that I met through, you know, my YouTube adventures that I know are good people. Elite Gamer said Hood Servative. It's a lot of people, you know, that you can talk to with bigger platforms than just this one. But what I want to do once you get elected, I want to be what is the word I'm looking for? Not PR, but just the one that could actually say, okay, this is what he's doing this week. I would give you the same dedication and devotion that I gave to Trump. You see what I'm saying?
Let me tell y'all something. And Ricky, I'm talking to you personally, but it goes to everyone. I will never forget, and even though when people donate to me, my plan was that I'll get so few donations, I thought I could just call around and say thank you. I'm glad to say, y'all, I've gotten more support from y'all than I could ever imagine. Like, I know it may not be millions of dollars like Clyburn has, but tens of thousands of dollars for a guy like me who never ever thought in his life he would even be a college graduate, which something I didn't plan to do. It just kind of happened because I substituted at a school. They loved the way I worked with the children, and they love how I pushed the Black kids and how I was hard on them, but they knew I loved them. And they said, we want to pay for a small portion, and it was small, of your tuition. And I said, well, I want to do this. I want to give back. If you look at where I was from, I'm the last person anyone ever thought would be calling himself running from Congress. But it's not because of me. It's because of y'all. Y'all put in faith in me. Y'all propelled me. I do not forget people who were there for me when they could have easily not been. So thank you so much, everyone.
You're welcome, man. Anything I can do to help, because the way I look at it, the state of our country is eroding, and we got to put it back on the right track. And let's see. He says how to contact you for more interviews. I have the contact information if you like. And are you going to be doing anything like any events or any town hall meetings in the future? Or
I'm doing a series of town halls per county, and I'm releasing that information very soon because South Carolina District 6 and older voters even though South Carolina District 6 has a large population of middle-aged and younger voters, the older voters are usually going to be the more engaged ones usually, and they're going to show up. And because some of them have legitimate concerns about COVID, I'm going to be offering mainly virtual options, but I am trying to have an in-person option as well. That's why donations are important, so I can get venues to accommodate everyone, and I can have some crowd control there. Which is why I'm going to need volunteers too, right? So I'm going to be doing something very soon. Y'all just stay tuned.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad you guys tuned in today once again. Donate. Somebody put that link in the chat room. Give this man some donations. And, we got to support him. All of you guys that are down here in the Charleston, South Carolina area, be sure you know what to do. You already know what to do. So let's go ahead and get that moving. Also, the African Diaspora channel, the one that you were on back in 2021, saw a lot of views come out of that one. So it's going to, basically the word circulating about you. So we need to make sure that everybody knows who you are. Rocket Man, Rocky Matrix was the one who put me on to you, and I was like, well, wait a minute, that's in my area.
Thank you, Rocket Man. So it does show that because our district is so rural and because we have so few, as you know, we have so few nonprofits and organizations that are like politically engaged. Like when I was in New York, you have like hundreds of organizations that are for this policy, that policy, and if you got a policy like they'll take it and they'll do the work for you. In rural South Carolina, this is uncharted territory, and the guy against whom I'm running, no one really wants to challenge him, and the people who have those connections, they're afraid of him. But y'all aren't, and that's why I appreciate y'all. And Rocket Man, yes, I do, and we're going to be releasing those details very soon. But I want you for now, Rocket Man, go to my website, marcelforcongress.com, and the platform is called A Better Deal for Black America. That gives you the gist and the summary of my reparations plan, and the implementation will be coming very soon. But I want to give it to y'all at once because then y'all won't come back to hear any more from me.
Right.
I want to see y'all again, right?
The cool thing is, because Jim Clyburn is such an enemy to the public, he's made a lot of enemies doing what he does, and sits there and does it with a smile. This is going to be. I got a good feeling about this. I really do. So hopefully, in the future when you start doing these town hall meetings, we can try to rally up some troops. And my producer works. She can get in touch with people in the media to get things like shown. I don't know how many people in this district uses social media like the way that I've been doing it, but I mean, there's all kind of avenues here.
Quite a few. I've gotten after being on Africa Diaspora Channel and TD Hip Hop Media and Real Tim Black, even Brianna Joy Gray, who you may know from Bernie, who y'all might be ideologically like this way, but I didn't know she was Gullah Geechee. Her great grandparents, she didn't say which area, but she had great grandparents from the Low Country in South Carolina. I don't know if it was Jasper, Beaufort, Charleston, Carlton, Georgetown. I don't know. So I didn't know that she was from here, that this is her roots. Even from her, I got a few hate messages.
Wow.
It was really about the abortion thing. We gotta keep killing those black babies. That's and what's funny though, none of them were really black people. It was out, and I went off of some of them. How dare you, a white liberal, tell me who's trying to save black children? You mad? You think you're mad? I went ballistic on some of them. Oh, I went ballistic. How dare you get mad at me because I'm trying to see more black children being born? That's why I'm saying to y'all, any black person listening, don't you dare fall into that Republicans hate black people, Democrats love black people. You need to look at people as people. Look at their policies. If Donald Trump was the run and he ran on reparations, I'm going to say this out loud. If anybody don't like it, here you go. I would vote for him. Now, sure as hell would. If I don't care what he did in the 1970s, if he was the run and he came with a reparations platform and he was talking serious reparations, I would be there. Now,
this is another one here. Tariq Nasheed is a good one. I don't agree with everything he says, but Tariq Nasheed, I think you guys would.
I mean, he has a reach. My brother, the one who's in prison, he is like, I guess like, people think like a street guy. I would come home from work and it will be him and like 15 of his friends. You look at them, you would think street guy, baseball caps backwards, and they will be watching. What's the name of his thing? Hidden
Colors.
Hidden Colors. So you're right. But the point is, y'all, thank you for helping me repair Black America. We will definitely be in touch, Ricky, and thank you for having me. Been in for 2 hours and realize that. I enjoyed this. See you later, man. Thank y'all. You take care.
Hey, you do the same. Stay blessed.
Hey, you too. Hey.